Culture Pastor.
So, Cody, if you needed any more proof of why you shouldn't care about politics and bureaucracy, or why it's all just a big waste of time, I would send you no farther than the town hall meeting in the latest episode of From. What a colossal waste of time.
So this is my what the From moment.
Oh, we got a what the From moment right off the bat. So first of all, this is Pop Culture Pastor Watch-Alongs. We're talking about From season 3. We're on episode 5. And every week we do a what the From moment. Yes. What am I watching? And that moment for you was the town hall meeting.
It was.
Okay, tell me why.
So they all gather and they're all sassy, which I get. But
do you though? Okay,
to an extent.
We'll discuss it in depth. Yeah.
But when Tabitha finally shows up, they're like, "You didn't bother to try to get any help?" And it's like, you all can't even get out of the town. Why are you like yelling and berating her? She literally got Victor's dad to kind of listen. And if he hadn't had people missing in his life, he would have thought she was a crazy lady. You all know how this looks and sounds as people who can't get out of this town.
It's as if the showrunners heard the chatter online of there's a large content of From fans online are like, why don't these people just talk to each other? Because they're not sharing information very well.
And the people that needed to be there were off doing drugs.
Yeah, we'll get into all that coming up because this is the town hall meeting episode of From season 3, episode 5. This is, as I said, Pop Culture Pastor Watch-Alongs. My name's Dave. Cody's here.
I am.
And yeah, obviously from this point forward, or from the point a couple minutes ago, spoilers. If you haven't watched episode 5 of season 3 of From, you probably shouldn't listen to this if being spoiled is something you don't want to be.
You're a few episodes behind.
Yeah. So we're just going to stay right here. We're going to get into it immediately into the recap, and we're going to get into the town meeting. Jade, Christy, and Kenny return from the Fromville Whole Foods with the food they set out to get. And at least one less solid ankle among the bunch. Upon hearing about Tabitha's chaotic return, Jade rushes off to find her, and Kenny sticks with Boyd to plan this town meeting. And what could go wrong? Kenny and Boyd, dream team.
Nothing.
They're not chaotic at all, those two right now.
Making rational choices left and right.
Oh, man. Cody, question. First one of the episode. Why have they not been having meetings? What? Why did it take someone to have a incredible experience and all think they were dead to finally think, hey, it might be good if we got together and talked about things?
I blame the division of there being a hippie house and then everyone else just living by themselves.
Wouldn't you have thought that Colony House would have had meetings?
So they briefly did, like at the very beginning of the series, like, oh, let's have a house meeting, but they weren't discussing like plausible theories or what to do. It was just like, well, these are the rules of the house and how we feel about allowing this newcomer. And that was like it.
Yeah, I think this proves that the town or Fromville is selective about who they're bringing in here because there's no leaders in the bunch. Because I know Leadership 101 is have plenty of ridiculously worthless meetings.
Yep.
You got meetings about meetings. You have meetings to plan meetings. Meetings upon meetings. In fact, Jade has the best line of the episode. When Ethan asks him, why isn't he at the meeting? Which, why isn't Jade at the meeting?
Jade's not at the meeting. Elgin's not at the meeting.
Jade might be one of the most important people to have at the meeting. He's the one who's like been down in the caves, seeing the symbol everywhere. No. And when Ethan asks him why he's not at the meeting, he's like, this was perfect because he's the guy from the business world back in the real world. Says any meeting with more than 3 people is a waste of time.
He ain't wrong.
He is not wrong in this sense. Kenny brings up to Boyd the potential danger they heard in the forest. But Boyd shuts it down for now because he's focusing on how everyone's going to be tearing into Tabitha on her trip to about her trip to the real world. And not literally, Fatima, settle down.
Yeah.
Fatima's got a taste for blood. And she's all about it. And he's right to worry because after Tabitha reports on her experience, as you said, everyone starts dogpiling her.
And weirdly, Fatima is like one of the chief instigators.
Yeah, I don't know if this is in the episode to tell us that Fatima's changing, like that something's like, or is she literally changing, or is the stress of what's happening to her just getting to her? Is she just so desperate to get out of there because of her worries? I don't know what's motivating it. But
I don't need a demon baby in the real world. You stay here, Fatima.
I think it's fair to say that Fromville is fraying at the edges. Mm-hmm. The person that asks if she called the police. Like, look, Cody, I'm sure the Camden, Maine police force is decent at their jobs, but I don't think this one falls under their jurisdiction.
And with the map of all the pinpoints of like where everyone came from, like, literally, how is she supposed to guide them back and figure a way out?
How did they think that phone call was going to go, by the way? Excuse me, as the police department? Yeah, this is the police department. State your need. I know where all these missing people are. And then, like, you could see the police guy, they're, like, leaning forward in their chairs, like, oh, go on. Yeah, we're all in this town where monsters come out at night. We can't get out, and you can't get in. And I don't really know how to get us back there, but they're there. They're alive. Like, it's no police officers they're going to call the nut house.
Or they're going to lock her up as a serial killer.
Cody, second question. Is everyone's frustration with Tabs fair in any way? Or maybe the question should be, are they right to be frustrated and maybe just misdirecting it? Is this realistic or is this bad writing?
I think it's realistic that people will get a glimmer of hope that someone got out, but unfortunately they came back and they came back with like the least productive people, and they didn't come back with any real solutions besides, well, if you can get to the tower and get pushed out by a kid, you make it back to the real world.
Yeah, but so it strengthens my point that Fromville intentionally picks people that aren't good leaders. Literally, Jade's probably the most important person there because he's the only one who's shown any sort of leadership qualities. Boyd has been forced into leadership. I don't think he's good at it.
Maybe.
But like nobody's a good leader here. And like, I think, yes, it's a fair reaction for some people to ask unreasonable questions and just be frustrated and upset because you're in a bad place. But wouldn't there be, in the collection of that many people, the couple people who are the kind of people who even under pressure are pretty level-headed and be like, hey, calm down. Why would she call the police? Seriously. There's like the people that could talk and lead in like calmness. No, there's none of those people here.
Well, Acosta tried.
Yeah.
She's the cop that no one likes because she just goes in guns a-blazing.
She might be someone, you're right, who could be a leader later on down the line. But for now, it's Dale and Fatima leading the charge.
And the two people I wouldn't let near anything important.
And she explains to them that she went to the lighthouse through a tree, and it just cracks me up that the same people who wanted to call the Camden, Maine fuzz are the same ones who are all like, well, let's just hop into that magic tree. What?
Boyd tried explaining. He nearly got stuck for all of eternity.
Yeah, Boyd's urges caution. He does his best to do his leadership thing. But at this point, Fromville seems to be ditching at the normal governing body and the governed human structure. They're kind of done with Boyd's leadership, it appears. And maybe even Donna, too. I don't know if Donna has a whole lot of control.
Colony House feels even less organized than it did when like the show first started.
And as if to illustrate the leadership problems, Ellis confronts his dad.
How dare you?
About trying to get home via the tree. Boyd snaps and asks him what would turn out to be a pretty important question. Who do you think should take the risk? Who should we sacrifice? Turns out we had the perfect candidate. More on that later.
I already had a person in my mind when you asked the question, and it came to fruition.
Because I'm going to tell you why that Dale is the ultimate hero at the end of this episode. Like, legit, he might be the number one hero by the time we get to this episode. And I do have a perfect explanation for that. Ellis, though, is frustrated by these events, and he goes off to search for Fatima, whom he finds catches her eating moldy vegetables. She breaks down and expresses concern for herself, and the baby, And Ellis stands there speechless, as if to say, yeah, that is a bit concerning.
Oh.
He just doesn't say anything. By the way, we did talk about some people skip the town meeting, like Jade, who sees the symbols, and some of the connections the other people don't, but he shouldn't be there, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have anything more to say about the town meeting?
I was really upset Elgin wasn't at the town meeting.
Now, explain, why are you upset that Elgin's not there? He's seeing the kimono lady, but that's not going to do anybody any good.
Unless she might be like, oh, all you got to do is go to this tree at this specific time and you help me.
Now, if we find out some other poor Fromvillian was seeing the kimono lady and they just weren't saying anything either, then I will be pissed. Now I'm going to get upset. I'm like, well, come on. Y'all would just talk a little bit.
Well, Jade saw the dude that had the weaponry in his face.
Elgin can't be there, though.
Well, I'm just saying.
Because he's got a different connection to make. The love boat, exciting and new. There's a love connection going on.
There is, and I'm like, no. You need to talk to Jade.
That brings us to our next segment. Hey, what's going on with Elgin and Julie? We find Julie creeping around Colony House while everyone's at the meeting. She's searching for something. What's she searching for, Cody?
Oh, I knew immediately what she was searching for. I said it. My wife thought I was joking. And then when she pulled it out, I was correct.
That's right. She's looking for someone's hidden stash of drugs. Drugs are bad. Okay. She finds it, but then she's surprised to see Elgin, who is also there. My dude's so out of it. I think he's just glad to see a female without a kimono on.
Yep.
And so he's stressed. She's stressed. So, of course, they decide to sit down and smoke some drugs together.
As one does.
Because that's what I hear the kids like to do sometimes.
Which I question, like, is that a good thing for Elgin? Because, like, if he's at an altered state, does that make his dreams come into our realm again?
Oh, there's so many questions here. But I guess you can get around it by saying, well, they're in hell. So I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah. For all the kids listening here, though, maybe you shouldn't. Because I'm a pastor and I have to say that. maybe don't. Especially if you're seeing visions. You're already hallucinating. Might not be good.
Mental health personnel says, like, you should probably talk to a psychologist and or a psychiatrist.
Yeah. But this scene works on a couple different levels. One, hey, we get another character beat moment here.
We do.
These two young people are connecting in what is so far a terrible experience for both of them. So it's nice to see them happy, or at least not sad. Two, we do get some important bits of information out of this.
There's a basement.
There's always a basement, man. There's always.
But like they had a basement full of old stuff.
Yeah. It kills me that these people are around these things that are clearly old, evidence of people being here for lots of years, and nobody's digging around. Like, why are we not? Tien Chen just has all this stuff in boxes in the thing, and nobody's like, Shouldn't we go through this?
So it was at this moment that I learned that no one in Fromville is like me, because I'm exploring like every house and nook and cranny and doorway and being like, what's this?
Well, at some point you found talismans that magically keep the monsters out of your house. Mm-hmm. And your thought wasn't, oh, we should look for more stuff. No. Just put everything in boxes. Let's just get it. We'll keep it safe somewhere. Like, nothing? No curiosity? No.
I'm disappointed.
Tell me y'all didn't grow up playing the RPG games without telling me.
Yep.
So, yeah, they have this conversation, and we find out that Julie is still hearing constant screaming.
Good.
I assume this is the same effect as when the Friends theme song was always getting played on the radio. It's just, I'll be there for you, except with her, it's just screaming.
Well, that might explain why she's cranky a lot.
But they do seem to have a chemistry between them. Going into the basement, playing dress up. Then Julie finds a Polaroid camera. And Cody, it's time for a Fromspiracy!
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited about this Fromspiracy.
Okay.
It's more of a prediction than a full-fledged Fromspiracy.
Okay.
But I think this Polaroid camera is going to set up something big, some type of probably creepy reveal. Either someone's not going to show up in the pictures that they would think would,
or something will.
There's going to be something that shows up in the pictures that shows that they're surrounded by more than they can see. And all I can think of is the thing in the Bible that says there's an unseen world going on. And that's what I thought of. And I thought, oh, this Polaroid camera, we're not going to get an explanation for it, but it's gonna show us something.
Well, within the horror genre, if there's ever a Polaroid camera, it's something important's going to be on one of the pictures, and usually they're not going to look at the pictures until much later, and then you're like, if you would have just taken the 1 minute of shaking, we would have known this so long ago.
So you're saying this is a horror trope?
Yes.
Oh, I thought I was being really smart.
You are, but you picked up on it.
Thank you. I do. This is my prediction is, I think by the end of this season, something in those pictures that they're going to be taking pictures of, I think it's going to give us a clue going to give the people a clue to the nature of the place they're in.
Or maybe if they take a picture of the tree, it might let you know where you're going.
Someone should take that Polaroid camera to the Whole Foods. Yeah. Take a picture of those mannequin things. I'm just calling that place the Whole Foods from now on.
I like it.
Let's move to Henry and Victor. Donna has welcomed Henry into Colony House, and she's showing him around, and eventually they get to Victor's room. And Henry is being hard on himself regarding all this time that he didn't spend searching for his son.
Well, you weren't going to find him.
And feels as if he has failed as a father for giving up. Cody, next question for you. Is this a realistic thing people would think? Sometimes I feel like the people on this show don't think like people who are clearly finding themselves in what seems like hell. A supernatural situation.
So I would say that, I've watched enough documentaries about missing individuals. Whether they're found alive, dead, or never found, there is a huge guilt with parents.
So this is a common thing.
This would be the reaction I would expect. And like, you can talk logic to the parents in whether documentaries or this show and be like, you couldn't do anything. Like, this was way outside of anyone's realm of control. Like, you couldn't see this coming. You couldn't do anything to fix it.
Why do we do this? Why do we think we have so much control? Or is it just because, is it a pain thing? We just need to feel like why would we give ourselves guilt for control we never really had?
Oh, well,
that's a tough question.
It is.
I don't know if it has an answer.
I don't either. I do know that, like, for a lot of people, they want to feel like they absolutely did try everything. But even when that does happen, like there's no comfort in it.
Yeah. I think it's because of movies like Taken. We all think we would be Liam Neeson, but we're not.
No.
As it turns out, Victor is having similar feelings. He, talking to Sarah, he's similarly afraid of disappointing his father in case he doesn't live up to his expectations. While Sarah isn't, compassion number one in the town, she does remind him that Henry is probably scared too. She's not wrong. Mm-hmm. And that he should be, looking forward to meeting him. And then we flash back, it's delayed. Like we're going back and forth. And we're thinking, I really thought they were going to meet last week at the end of the episode.
Nope.
But Henry, now talking to Ethan, asks a very important question. Where's the motel?
Yep.
Cody, how come we never noticed there's no motel? And does this mean anything? Where's the motel?
I am very disappointed in all the other Fromvillians that have not ever said this out loud, at least.
We didn't think it was weird that there's a motel sign and a pool, but no motel. That never occurred to anybody.
Yeah.
I saw someone online that thought it was Colony House. I'm like, that's way too far away. That doesn't make any sense.
No. And the style of sign leads you to think like it's kind of like a ranch style property where they're conjoined rooms, not a bed and breakfast type, because that's what Colony House looks like.
Yeah. This is where it pays to be from the Midwest.
Yep.
Where you know the difference between a motel and a hotel. Motel is, the ranch style. It's spread out. You got the individual rooms that you access from the outside from their own doors.
Yep.
It's not inside like a hotel. But yeah, that's a really good question. When he asked that question, I was literally like, what? Yeah. What? How come we haven't asked this question? That's important. We need that answered. Suddenly, Henry and Victor come face to face. They slowly approach each other, kind of tentatively. And then Henry pulls Victor into an embrace, and it leads to like a real tear-jerking scene. Not for you, because you don't cry at anything. You were cold-hearted.
My wife sobbed.
Oh, I'm sure she did. Listen, I had tears. And what makes it so devastating is when Victor finally gives himself over to his father and just kind of melts in his arm. He's emotionally repeating, I didn't know how to get home. Like he's a boy, because that's what he is. He's basically stunted.
Yep.
Because he grew up by himself in the scariest place imaginable. And what a scene, Cody.
My wife did say, why are you not crying?
Because, Cody, so this is what you don't understand if you don't listen to all our pods. Cody's like the Grinch. His heart is like 10 sizes too small. It's not impersonal. He's still a loving guy. He just doesn't get all emotional at the emotional parts of shows.
You don't need all the tears.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I cried.
Once in a while, tears will shed.
I cried. If you could play the final scene where Kevin Costner plays catch with his dad at the end of Field of Dreams right now, and I'd blubber like a baby. Dad, can I have a catch? Oh, man. I got a little misty just thinking about it.
There was one scene in Ted Lasso where I did cry.
Oh, good. Of course it was Ted Lasso. Was it Nate and Beard?
No.
What was it?
It was in season 2.
Oh, okay.
When
I know which one. When Ted breaks down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Finally, the third big scene in the episode is between where Tabitha and Jade go to the faraway tree, and they start looking inside the bottles. Novel concept.
Jade is the most logical one in this whole group.
Yeah. Well, Jade, like I said, Jade should be at every meeting, and Jade, he's a little too unstable right now, but he should be someone the leaders are having conversations with, because Jade is immediately schooling Tabitha on like, hey, no, these aren't just random numbers. They mean something.
We just got to figure out what they mean.
Yes. Jade is mathematical. He doesn't look at things and think it's random. No. There's always a design. Jade's a closet Christian. He just doesn't know it yet. Everything has a purpose. Everything has a reason. And he's already starting to figure out that the random numbers in the bottle probably mean something, which again speaks to the fact there probably needs to be more information sharing. But when all of a sudden Dale shows up.
Our good friend Dale.
Dale, who's going to be the hero of the town.
Quite literally.
He confidently announces his intentions to go into the faraway tree, return home, and call for help. Jade and Tabitha's warnings fall on deaf ears. Dale jumps into the tree gate, which is what I'm going to call it now because I think it sounds cooler, like Stargate.
Okay, tree gate.
But not before confidently saying, "You can thank me later."
That was the moment that I almost started to actually like Dale.
I know, right? I was like, oh, that was pretty cold. That's pretty awesome, actually.
In wrestling terms, he's a heel, and heels get heat. And like he had the most heat at that moment, and I was all in. And then
in that moment, though, I kind of agreed with Dale. Remember what he says at the meeting? Nobody ever does anything.
Yep.
What? We just got to do something. And I don't think he's wrong. I actually think, yeah. Although Boyd goes back and forth. Boyd gets like down to his frayed to his edges, and he's like, I'm going to do something. Then everyone hates him.
Yep. Why did you do that?
He comes back and he's like, we can't do anything. We just got to ride it out. And then Dale's like, we got to do something. And Boyd's like, don't be an idiot. But he does. He jumps in that tree. He says, you can thank me later. We cut to the town where screams pierce the silence. Boyd races to investigate to find Dale inside the concrete of the motel pool. Cody, this is body horror at its finest. I couldn't believe they went there. I was like, oh.
As he is trying to spit out chunks of concrete, I was like, oh, like it's inside him too. So like,
oh yeah.
Even if you could clear it out of his mouth.
Dude, this is like The Fly.
Yeah.
With Jeff Goldblum back in the 80s where he had like, it was teleportation. This is like what you were afraid of if you're like, getting phased, like the Star Trek phaser thing. Beaming me up and down. Just don't beam me inside of something.
Yes.
Like this is, oh man, I just couldn't believe they went there. I was like, oh, this is gnarly.
It was at this moment I said, is the From motel actually the motel from Twisters, where they get into the swimming pool to avoid getting a truck landing on them in the pool?
They need to keep Fatima far away from Dale. That's a buffet for her right now. Keep Fatima away. In all seriousness, though, this results in like maybe one of the... Man, again, Harold Perrineau has been great this season anyways, but this is like fantastic acting in his part because he's basically acting to the side of a swimming pool because Dale's not really there. That's special effects. I mean, he is there.
I like to think he was there.
But Boyd, maybe at the farthest end of his rope that we've ever seen him, like literally pulls his gun out and prepares to put Dale out of his misery. And he offers him this devastatingly sincere, I'm sorry this happened to you. Like nobody likes Dale.
Nobody.
Everybody hates Dale. And Boyd, like Harold Perrineau delivers that line so stinking perfectly that I almost, if I would have had enough time, I just didn't have enough time to shed tears because it all moves so fast. But that moment where he says, I'm sorry this happened to you. He pulls his gun out and you realize, you're like starting to realize like, oh, he's going to put him out of misery like a dog, like a horse. Like, oh. But then before he can pull the trigger, Dale dies. Credits. And again, like how many episodes in a row is this? They are getting this lost rhythm down.
Well, almost credits.
Yeah, does something else happen? What happens?
He goes off on all the Fromvillians.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is what I'm talking about. I'm trying to help you and you won't let me help you.
He goes holier than thou on him.
Which I loved it.
Did you?
Because I'm like, this is realistic. He literally is at his rope's end with these people, and he is trying to keep helping them, even though they keep yelling and being rude to him. And see, this is why we don't just do things without thinking about it. And Dale made his sacrifice, so now everyone will be like, oh, maybe we should figure out what's up with this tree before we just jump in the tree.
Yeah. Oh, boy, Cody. Hopelessness at an all-time high in Fromville.
I wanted to give him an Emmy right then and there.
Yeah, I feel like we are near a breaking point for Fromville. Like, this is as close in all the seasons, which feels weird because their situation has been nothing but desperate. But for some reason, it feels like everyone is close to their breaking point, which makes me feel like we're real close to finding out some piece of information that's going to open the door of hope for the people in Fromville. After all, this is not Game of Thrones.
Until you realize it is.
No, I don't think so. I think we're going to get something within the next couple episodes, possibly from that Polaroid. I think we're going to get something that gives people hope again, because man, they got nothing right now. It's bad. This is bad. The tree, see, some people were clinging onto that tree and now they're like, oh, I don't know. And Jade's not going to divulge any information.
As he shouldn't.
Yeah.
No one liked Jade, and Jade's like, I don't like you all, but I'm going to figure it out.
Boyd, there's a couple bonus storylines that didn't fit into the main stuff. Boyd continues to be harsh to the newly arrived police officer.
Take that, Acosta.
Who might end up being a leader because she's actually trying to help him.
Yep.
And her idea is actually not bad. Give people purpose. That's backed by science.
I think maybe in the next episode or two, they'll be like, okay.
Yeah. She makes a good suggestion. It's a good leadership suggestion. And maybe speaks to the idea that there's a certain type of individual that's curated by whoever's in charge of this place to get there. But it speaks to the idea that the whole Tabitha thing was unplanned. That was a monkey in the wrench. And then she brought back people that maybe necessarily weren't supposed to be there. Because the cop seems like she has potential.
Until she doesn't.
Randall is recovering most of the episode. He seems like he's going to be a problem, like even bigger than he was before.
Boyd would just trigger him.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's what the girlfriend had yelled at him, and I'm like, well, of course he would. But at the same time, this dude's out of it. He's not going to know.
Yeah, but I think the monsters letting Randall live, I think is too smart of a move to be done by the monsters. I think this proves that there's clearly someone or something pulling the strings here, right? There's a mastermind behind this. This is too smart. The monsters torturing Boyd. Like we haven't really seen anything out of the monsters that would seem to them to be anything more than like automatons, right? Zombies, really. I think there's something. I think there is an individual someone or something that's behind all of this.
I'm choosing not to believe that.
And if I'm going on the Saturday Night Live late 80s explanation, church lady, could it be Satan?
Yeah, nope. I don't think so.
Hell's getting a lot of run in this episode of Run for me. What, Cody, is good about this episode? What was good about this episode for you?
Boyd.
Yeah, Boyd.
Boyd was good.
Boyd, the character, or the Harold Perrineau, the actor?
Both.
Yeah.
Because you see what Boyd's intentions are. That he really does want to leave, but he doesn't want to lose anyone in trying to get out. And
at the same time, he seems frayed around the edges, man. He's got to calm down.
Well,
Because he's not wrong, but boy, he's not delivering it correctly. They're going to mutiny.
Well, that's okay, because out of chaos becomes creation.
Okay. I don't even know where you got that quote from. I thought it was a Batman quote at first.
No,
I'm like, nope.
No.
For me, Scott McCord and Robert Joy, who play Victor and Henry respectively, they give us a great scene in this show. All the feels. When there's hope to be had in Fromville, it always springs from relationship. Have you noticed that?
Yep.
And we get a few of those moments in this episode. We get Victor and Henry. We get Julie and Elgin. We get these nice character moments. The showrunners continue to give us these great little character moments. Wrapping these in the mysteries of the show is continuing the what Lost did right tradition. And it makes us care about the mysteries more. We care about the mysteries more because we care about the people caught up in the mysteries. If we didn't care about the people, we wouldn't care about the mystery.
Yeah.
And so I think the show, for whatever reason, has really figured this out in this third season. I think we're getting a lot more character moments without it slowing down the episodes too much. What's not so good in this episode, Cody?
Everyone. Everyone's the worst.
Oh, man. Yeah, I go back and forth whether I think this is how normal people would react to, no, this is over the top. It's exaggerated.
It might be a little bit of hyperbole, but I don't think that it's too far out of the realm.
Yeah. It's my what's not so good lines up with it. The town meeting was so annoying. If I'm going to believe that there would definitely be Dales in this situation, which I do, I also believe there would be level-headed folks too, and this collection of people seem hapless at times. Like, why are the only people talking to the people that are like, why didn't you call the cops in Camden, Maine?
I like to compare this to just any meeting. It seemed realistic. I was like, this is triggering me. I can't be here right now.
It's time for R.I.P., the rest in peace part of the episode. We are here today, ladies and gentlemen, to pay our tribute and remember Dale that no one liked.
Real one.
Who lost his life stepping into technology he did not understand. He is now one with the motel swimming pool. So Dale, we do thank you later.
I thank you now, because we now know not everyone should just jump in the tree.
Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, concrete to concrete. He has returned to the earth. And more importantly, the motel swimming pool. But I actually think this is a worthy sacrifice. Mm-hmm. I think he unintentionally is going to help them because now they know, okay, the tree's not to be trifled with. But Jade's going to have the numbers. Like, they're going to understand now that they've got actual proof that people go to different places when they go inside the tree. Now people are going to start, it helps them a little bit. It helps them. It's just another piece of information. And so it's not totally meaningless sacrifice, if not, kind of wasteful. But, it was Dale and nobody liked him.
Until the very end. And then he had me wrapped around his finger for my favorite colony house person.
I was really hoping that we wouldn't hear about it for a few episodes at least. Give me a few episodes of Dale's last words being, "You'll thank me later."
It would have been kind of funny if, he had popped up in the middle of the night and no one knew.
Right. Yeah. All right. What are you rating this episode, Cody? How many motel signs out of 10?
It's a building episode.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep, we're on the same line.
I'll go 7.5. Well,
yeah.
It's a good building episode, but there's enough cringe for me that I'm like, I didn't super enjoy it, especially the meeting.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 7, which is the lowest rating I've given an episode this season. I think it's one of the weaker episodes this season, but elevated by a just home run of a last scene. I thought that last scene was incredible.
Last scene was incredible. What Jade's doing is building. What Elgin and friend are doing is potentially building, and the rest of them, if you fall into the pool, I'm not going to miss you.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Looking forward to the next episode. I think we're going to get some answers. Hey, what do y'all think's going on? Where are you guys at after episode 5? I know episode 6, it will have dropped by the time this pod comes out. That's okay. We don't mind taking a little while. We like to think about this. And if you're behind us a little bit, yeah, watch the episodes, listen to them as you go along, and we'll be great. And then we'll talk about it. Make sure and follow Pop Culture Pastor on your social medias. Subscribe to the pod so you never miss a drop. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Toodles.